Well, it's clear Nicolas Cage had fun in this role. Don't you agree? Did he not absolutely soak up everything?
I think he was the highlight of the movie.
He was the highlight of the movie. Nicolas Cage relished every moment that he was playing the part
Count
of Dracula.
Dracula.
Even when he was gnarly and nasty. He was so funny. So this movie, as I mentioned to you yesterday when we were at the theater, so Artur and I got to attend an advanced screening of Renfield on Tuesday night. It was being held in a theater in our area, so we went to go see it. It was a packed house. It was completely sold out. The audience, I think, had a ton of fun. There was a lot of laughter.
Yes, there was. There was a lot of comedic moments, too.
There definitely were. And afterwards, there was about a 20-25 minute Q&A live streamed of Nicolas Cage and some girl that was interviewing him from Los Angeles. I guess wherever he was, they had just screened the movie or something. So that was kind of cool to be able to watch that. We weren't able to interact or participate, but we were able to see it as it happened.
But we're actually here to tell you guys if it's worth a watch or not. So let us begin with the review, and let's go with the plot. The plot, it follows Renfield's life when they did a quick flashback. Sorry, I get that mixed up a lot for some reason.
You're dyslexic, that's why.
They go to his backstory when he met Count Dracula as a lawyer or an accountant or something.
He was I think they said he was a real estate
a real estate agent. And Dracula just had a way of manipulating him to where he just followed him pretty much every decade, and I guess whatever power he gave him, he didn't turn him into a vampire, but he gave him some ability to where he's pretty much lived for decades. And then Dracula gets wounded, and pretty much Renfield's job is to bring him bodies so he could feed and heal and all that. But then Renfield starts to have a change of heart, and Dracula
is displayed in the trailer.
Dracula's not
spoilers.
Too happy, but that's where I'm gonna probably stop it there with the plot wise, just because there's a lot of stuff in here that I would like to say, but I won't, because I feel like people need to actually experience it.
Well, this movie made my top 10 most anticipated for 2023. I didn't even know that it was coming out until I was doing just a quick search for movies coming out in 2023, and this was one of them. And I liked the premise, and especially because I worked on the Dracula audiobook, so I knew who the character of Renfield was, and this was on my list. And I have to say, I think I mentioned this in my Letterboxd review, it was definitely worth it. I enjoyed the heck out of this movie. I enjoyed the comedy, but something that I did not expect, and I am going to say this, is how absolutely gory and violent this movie is, and what an animal Nicolas Cage is in here as Dracula.
He's Dracula.
He strikes this really funny balance interesting balance between absolutely brutal, I mean, just animalistic brutal, and hilarious.
But wouldn't you say his character's pretty family friendly?
Oh, sure, absolutely family friendly.
Renfield's
rated R films.
Renfield's more sympathetic as a character because his life kind of just went through an odd situation, and he just followed him.
The movie is basically a metaphor or symbolic of toxic relationships. Abusive relationships, which is basically the type of relationship that they had. He's going to those. I mean, all of this is laid out in the trailer as well, and basically how he's trying to escape this awful situation because of this really twisted dynamic that he and Dracula have. And in the Q&A, they were talking about how there was this level of affection between the two. I didn't really pick up on the level of affection that they were referring to.
Not
because
really.
to me, it didn't seem to me like Dracula had affection for Renfield. It seemed like
I think it was just
very clear he
him.
was using him, and Renfield felt powerless to escape him. And so that was the dynamic going on. I like the pacing of this. There was not a lot of fat on this at all.
It gave you time to just experience him and what he was doing. And then, of course, you had the Asian chick who was a police
Awkwafina.
officer.
Mm-hmm.
The problem
she was
is...
in Shang-Chi. Did you
She was in Shang-Chi, and I think she was in Rich Asians.
Yeah, she was. That was the first time I saw her. She was funny to me.
The problem is she's in the world of corruption, and she's trying her best to be the good cop, but in the end, a lot of problems in big cities like New Orleans.
Yes.
And that this film pretty much expresses that. And of course, the big mob, the mobsters, they just have full control, or the mafia, pretty much. Yeah. They're mafia.
Well, they're a drug cartel. Yeah,
pretty much. And one of the villains in there, the son of the mobster.
The mobster lady.
He was kind of like the crazy villain.
There were a lot of comedic moments with him. The scene at the traffic stop, and I won't go into detail, but that scene was really funny. Okay, dogs, don't. Oh my gosh, I've got 3 dogs in my lap, and whatever Tifa did just hurt Levi. I don't know what.
That sounded like a Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, I know. Do you want to get down, Levi? Anyway, the traffic. I swear, the traffic stop scene, that was really funny. His character was funny,
and he's like thrown.
Well, I don't want to get into spoilers because I want people to enjoy it as much as they can, as fresh as they can. Now, the trailer, I honestly feel like the trailer. There's a scene, where he's with the support group, and they're talking about how, well, Dracula, if you don't do what he wants, he won't grow to full power. And the coach guy that's with him, or the guy that's helping the people during the sessions, he says, "Oh yes, that's right. That's really weird that you would say it like that."
But say it that way.
And I really wish they had not shown that part in the trailer, because while the rest of the room laughed as if that was something they had never seen before, I already knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So it didn't hit the same comedic punch for me that I think it would have if I had not watched it. I am getting more and more, Arturo, to the point where I don't really want to watch a lot of trailers.
That's what I don't. I barely watch much trailers these days.
It takes away from the enjoyment of your first experience. I wish I could have seen that scene without knowing what was going to happen. I wish I could have watched that scene without knowing at some point Dracula's going to come in the room. You've seen the trailer for this, though, right?
I have, so I knew that was going to happen.
In the very early days of my channel, I was all about watching trailers because that was about all I had time to do. But it's just, I feel like so many of them just show way too much, and I could have done without seeing a lot of the stuff that they showed in there. There were, so in general, love this film. Not going to get real heavy into a bunch of stuff to say about it. I felt like Nicolas Cage was just fantastic in this movie. He ate up every line he was given, and he really, really, I mean, in the Q&A, he was talking about, I found this really fascinating. He was talking about what he drew upon for inspiration in his performance.
That was interesting.
So the lady thought that he was drawing upon Bela Lugosi and Christopher Lee, and he kind of touched a little bit on Lee, but he said he was really more, from what I remember, the character of Dracula that he brought to the screen in this story was more a combination of his father, Coppola, and Anne Bancroft's character in The Graduate. Sorry, we had to edit something out. Someone came out of the bathroom. The inspiration for his characterization of Dracula was a mix between his father, and he demonstrated how his father used to talk to him.
Yeah.
I picked up on those, those are the exact mannerisms he had in the movie. The things that he was talking about, That's exactly how he acted in there. And also the almost feline, seductive yet predatory way
Yeah, he
Bancroft
explained all that,
played the
which
character in The Graduate. Yeah.
There
and the way he would
gruesome...
fight was animalistic. How he was talking about the snake and the tiger and stuff like that.
There was gruesome scenes in this movie.
Oh, it was extremely violent, you guys. This is definitely a rated R movie. It was much more gory than I anticipated. That's not a complaint. I'm just saying I didn't.
It was more like a crazy, gory comedic film.
Okay,
because it's a dark comedy,
right? But
it's got Tucker and Dale.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say.
Except it goes over the top. Sometimes.
Tucker and Dale and Cocaine Bear. But there is a particular scene. There is a scene of extreme violence that happens that was not funny. There was
no. That scene
and it's not supposed to be. And it's really interesting how filmmakers can frame something in a certain way, and yet some scenes of violence and gore are hilarious and felt slapsticky, and then this other scene was just a complete contrast to that.
They were setting it up for that. Film quality, I did like some of the look of the film, especially like some of those nighttime shots when it was kind of had like color, in New Orleans and all that. There were some good shots there.
You liked also the way they did the background, the flashback.
Oh yeah, the black and white inserted them into the movie, those older movies.
The original Dracula movie, yeah.
I thought.
That was really well done.
I didn't really know there was much editing issues.
No, not. Oh, okay. There was a con that I noticed.
Okay.
And it's not a con with regard to my enjoyment of the film. So let's just say
Is it an edit con?
There was a blooper. It could be considered an editing issue. Definitely something that slipped right past them when they were post-processing this movie. The character of Teddy, the son of the lady who runs the Lobos gang.
Yeah.
Okay, there is a scene where he gets injured in his neck.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I do remember.
And
when he got,
in that particular scene, I'm not going to say specifically what it is. In that particular scene, in pretty much the next shot of him, he's acting like nothing has happened to him.
Well, did show him...
There is a scene where... There is a scene where it does show him. Okay, it shows him, he gets injured. Then I believe the sequence was, the next time it shows him, you can't see anything. There's nothing.
Yeah,
and he's not even acting like he got... And then the next scene, he's like holding himself. Okay. Yeah. And then later, they show him and he has no injury. And then again, they show him and he's got a bandage. So there's some definite... That jumped out at me like right away. And that was all I could focus on. After I noticed the first screw up, I noticed again. There's nothing on his neck. Yeah. And then in the next shot, there was a bandage. So that's an issue. That wasn't something that got under my skin enough to detract from my enjoyment. It's just one minor
issue. I don't think it if it happened too many times.
It's hard to believe it slipped past them. It could, because in fact, when it showed him right after his injury, I started to doubt that he was the one that had gotten injured in the neck. And then the next thing, he's holding his neck. I was like, okay, well, that injury should have killed him. Just saying.
Well, maybe it just scraped him.
Yeah, it was just a flesh wound. He walked it off, John Wick style. But just in general, I love this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun.
It was funny.
If you like Nicolas Cage, if you like black comedy, horror comedy, if you like the interesting spin on the whole side of Renfield, because Renfield is mentioned in the Dracula book. You know who he is. He's Dracula's familiar. You don't know a whole lot about him. And that was the thing that drew me to this story, because we never really hear much about Renfield.
I just like this iteration of Dracula. Just the story of Dracula. The fact that it's set in modern day, but they've been around since then, since the black and white film days. Yeah. And they're in New Orleans.
Well, Dracula's been around since the 1800s.
Yeah, but how New Orleans is.
Yeah.
And when I'm watching a movie, you're just thinking, man, while these people are doing all this and all that, you literally have Dracula in town. Somewhere. Don't know where, but he's somewhere. And of course, he can't feed on bad guys. He has to feed on the innocent.
Well, he needs innocent blood.
For some reason.
Because it's pure, I guess. Because it's
pure, I guess.
Yeah. So,
I guess evil can consume pure.
I guess okay, so it goes back to the whole thing about virgin blood or child blood being the most powerful because it's pure.
Yeah.
This is something that shows up, a lot of times, like in Monster Squad. Remember Monster Squad, how they needed a virgin to be reading this particular thing because it signifies purity. Like a child signifies purity as well. So that's why Dracula needs that blood. Now, that's not the case in all the stories. There are a lot of stories about vampires where it does not matter where they get their blood.
This one is pure.
As long as it's human blood.
Yeah.
There's some in some stories about vampires, they can live on blood that's in a blood bank, or they can live off of blood from animals. It just all depends on the story. In this case, it's Dracula. It's supposed to be the classical Dracula from the Bram Stoker story, or from the Bela Lugosi type, the Christopher Lee, iterations of Dracula. So he needs that pure blood in order to come to full power.
Yeah, the action scenes
give
are
this
good.
movie thumbs up. The action scene, the fight scenes were really good. I thought Nicolas Cage did a really good job playing the beaten down, abused person who's trying to find that inner strength, but he's been in this terrible relationship for so long. He's been mistreated for so long. It's hard for him. So yeah, I thought he did a really good job.
And he needs to use bugs to use full strengths.
Yeah, as it shows that in the trailer. Awkwafina, she was fine. She was funny. I almost wanted to say I don't feel like she was the best fit for this role, but maybe in a lot of ways she was, because this was more comedic.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting to see her play like a cop.
Yeah,
and her cursing too.
That would.
She would
and
curse.
Something about her. She was very slouchy. Did you notice how like there's that scene where she's talking with her sister and her sister walks off, and then she kind of like, she's like, the way she kind of says, she turns back and looks, and then it's like she almost looked like a video game character the way she was moving. But it was a fun movie, and I'm so glad that it ended up being as enjoyable as I was hoping that it would be. So very happy about that. I would definitely recommend it if you're interested in it at all, if you're a Nick Cage fan at all.
So the verdict. Hell of a good time.
I gave it on Letterboxd. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
All right, well, you know how I rate things. So you gave it 4 out of 5. I say hell of a good time.
It definitely was. We had a lot of fun, and the audience was into it. I think it's going to get really good audience ratings.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
I wouldn't either. So anyway, those are our thoughts on Renfield, and whenever you guys get a chance to watch it, let us know what you think. Did you enjoy it as much as we did? Did you feel like it was overkill? Haha, no pun intended. Okay, you guys. Adios.